For me, it became my escape because Satan used that, and I remember thinking that I had kind of like invented it, that I was on my own with it, and it was like my little secret shame. For me, with the cutting, it first started when I was about 13. Not so much the cutting itself, but like my life kind of went downhill into the spiral. I lived with my mom and my stepdad. We had a nice house in a nice part of town, and went to an amazing school, had an amazing youth group. And I remember one summer I came home from youth camp, and the whole house was packed up. And my mom said, "Your grandparents had had a stroke, so we're moving out to the country to live with them." So we moved out into the boondocks, into this little house that was just run down because they couldn't take care of themselves. There were rats, there were mice, there was fleas, roaches. Because of that, like, my mother went into depression. She didn't really come out of her room much. My stepfather, he was always at the hospital, always trying to take care of his parents. And for us kids, it was like we kind of left to fend for ourselves. I had a little brother and a little sister. I think there's times that my parents' frustration came out on us. It kind of felt like in some way it was our fault. That might not have been reality, but that was reality to us. I remember this anxiety that built up in me. I didn't know how to explain it, and this guilt. Because we lived on a ranch out in Texas, I did a lot of chores, and one year for Christmas, in my stocking I got this knife, and I guess my parents thinking it was practical. You know, I'm out with the cattle, we have horses, but for me it became my escape because I started to cut myself. I remember thinking that I had kind of like invented it, that I was on my own with it, and it was like my little secret shame. It was a rush at first because it kind of pulled me out of this numbness that I had. Everything around you is so chaotic, it's so painful that you would shut everything out and you would just kind of go into like this daze, you'd zone out. And cutting was a way to bring me out of it. I had this mentality that God was punishing me. My life was horrible because I did something wrong and I deserved to cut myself. I deserved to hurt myself. It was pretty easy to hide. I know there was a time or two someone noticed that and be like, "Hey, Miranda, you know, what happened?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I fell off my horse or something." And they would kind of confront me and be like, "You know, that looks too clean cut." And I just shrug it off. And I think one night at a party, it was just really eating at my heart, and I told one of my friends. And it just came up to where we were being real with each other and we were talking about issues. And it was like, "Hey, you know, I can't keep this a secret anymore." It was kind of scary for me, but I felt like it was kind of a safe situation to do it because I knew my friends were dealing with things too, not so much cutting, but I knew they were going through rough stuff too, and they wouldn't judge me for it. They would understand and realize that it was just me kind of manifesting my pain. The more I learned about God and his real character and who he is and how he loves me, he wants to be my father, and it just came to a point where I saw I'm not being punished because I'm going through these hard things. I don't have to punish myself. This isn't my fault. And when I do this, it damages my relationship with God. It hurts him. And it came to a point where I didn't want to hurt him, and I couldn't do it again. Now, life is just like amazing for me. It's amazing how you can bloom and flourish when you get out of the lie that you're supposed to just keep it a secret, keep it tucked away because it's bad and no one else does that kind of stuff. You know, you're a freak. And just feel like I'm a worthy human being who can come to others on their same level and speak with them. I'm really passionate about like just getting out there and speaking about it because so many people just don't even know what it's about. They've never even heard about this. I know the statistic is 1% of the American population, that's about 2 million people. That's a lot of people. And I think it's amazing how God churned this thing that Satan was using against me, and now he's turned the tables, and there's a ministry that's rising up from it, Seen Inside Ministries. And I talk to girls who self-mutilate, but it's not an enabling thing. It's more of a, here, tell me about your pain, and they're able to express themselves in ways other than hurting themselves. First off, I would do more listening than I would speak, because really what they need is someone to listen and someone to care. Because all it is a cry out that I'm hurting so bad that nobody sees it, but you can see that I'm doing this. So I'd listen more than I talk, and I would really encourage them to go somebody who's trustworthy and speak to them and start building the bridges that need to be built and dealing with the issues that cause the cutting, not so much the cutting itself. Parents really have to deal with this very carefully. One big thing that I've noticed is parents turn it into something where it's all about them. What did I do wrong? Why is my child freaked out? Is she crazy? Why would she do this to me? And really, it's not about them. It needs to be about that child, and you talk about why they did it. It's, what is your pain? What are you struggling with? Because if you deal with that, it'll manifest itself in them not needing the cut anymore.